We thank you so much for watching Voices of the Bar, where the legal world speaks. Today, we want to discuss constitutional history, and we are going to go deep into reception clause. We want to only discuss the reception clause out of the order in council. We are going to pick only the reception clause, and we see what is the implication of it, and then we try to appreciate what we call the reception clause. But we run two channels: Law School Made Easy and Voices of the Bar. When you don't find a video on Law School Made Easy, kindly check it out on Voices of the Bar. You definitely get that video. It is either on Voices of the Bar or Law School Made Easy. Therefore, make sure that you subscribe on both channels, and also make sure that you turn on the notification such that every time we put up a video, you get to know that there is a new video that has been uploaded. So let's now appreciate the concept of reception clause. We said in 1902 there was an order in council. Let me give you a background of this order in council. After the 1900 Buganda Agreement, the British had now established their rule in Buganda, and therefore they wanted to expand and to consolidate their power. They now have Buganda as the strongest ally. Remember, Buganda was the strongest ally at the time. So now that they have Buganda on their side, they wanted to expand. They wanted to consolidate their power. That is why, if you look at the videos we have made on order and council, we tell you in the first article of order and council, they wanted to demarcate boundaries. What does it mean? You see, in Buganda, it was only Buganda, but now in order and council, to demarcate all the boundaries in the country. Why? To consolidate their power. The order and council was mainly for consolidation of their power in the land. So, but under the order in the council, there are very many articles that they brought. But I want to concentrate on Article 15, and that is the reception clause. The reception clause. The way you see the word is said, reception clause. Now, this word reception, many of you have gone to hotels and offices, you say front desk, you change the names, front desk, reception, somebody who receives. So the reception clause in order in council is the receiving clause. This is when Uganda, our legal system, officially welcomed and received laws from England. The common law, we received them. The question would be, why are we receiving the English law? Remember, we are a British protectorate. So now, because they were consolidating their uh, power in Uganda, they had to bring their laws such that we follow their laws. Because as you consolidate, you begin to introduce your laws. Now, they brought their laws and we welcomed them in the reception clause. That was 1902, 11th August, when we received all the English laws. Now, among the laws we received include the Evidence Act, the Judicature Act, the Penal Code, the Contracts Act, and very many others. Okay? Now, that is when we begin to use the English law. Now, why are we receiving English law? We are receiving English law against our customary law. That they noticed we had the customary law. Now, they said our customary law was inconsistent, was repugnant. That is why the next clause is called the repugnance clause. Now, because our customary law, they considered it barbaric, ancient, they introduced their laws. And they said any culture which was not consistent with the doctrines of morality, consciousness, and equality, that culture was considered backward. That is why they brought their laws, because they wanted to replace them with our customary law, which they considered to be ancient. And that is when we get all those cases which come up at the time. the case of one being Chilimo versus Chisunda, the case of Ara versus Mkeyo, and very many other cases which came at the time because they considered our culture to be repugnant, to be inconsistent, incompatible with their laws, and yet they were in control, they were consolidating. So they introduced their laws such that we would begin to use their laws which they were using in England. Uh, when I say our laws are repugnant, let me give you an example of the case of Chirimo. In Chirimo, I want to give you expressions. In Kirimo, we a man called Manga was a tax collector. He collected tax. He never gave receipt. In simple terms, he embezzled the taxes. Now, on punishment, they said, let us punish his father. We take his father's cows. Now, a son has committed a crime, but they are punishing a father who was not there. So the whites were saying, such culture are barbaric, are inconsistent with the rules of morality, natural justice, and consciousness. So that is what they were fighting. That is why they brought what we call the reception clause. And then that definitely changed the legal system in Uganda. The procedure and interpretation of the law now changed because we had received a set of new laws which up to now we are using. Now, when you are discussing order in council, and um, particularly, particularly reception clause, you relate it to the you relate the clause to the new acts we have today. I don't know if this is the original. I don't remember, but now this is the Judicial Act Cap 13, but I think it now changed, meaning that you relate depending on the acts which are now revived. That the reception clause led to the introduction of the Contracts Act, the Evidence Act, and very many other acts. So, in this Judicial Act, if you read section 14, clause 2, it clearly gives power for us, for High Court, or for us in Uganda to use to apply common law and equity and all the laws which we received under section 14 and 15, which talks about customary marriage. So that is what we call the reception clause. We thank you so much for watching Voices of the Bar, where the legal world speaks. Subscribe, share. Remember, we run two channels: Law School Made Easy and Voices of the Bar. Subscribe, share, like our videos. Until next time, thank you so much. Cheers.